Have you ever visited a real deal camera store followed by drinking a few too many root beers, only to wake up at 2 a.m. in a cold sweat and you're wondering, did I pay off my root beer tab? And was that gently used lens that I was holding, was that the AI or the AIS version of Nikkor's 85mm f1.4? Is that just me? Oh. Shoot. Okay gang, welcome back to another edition of All Glass and Steel, baby. They don't make them like they used to. Nikon introduced this behemoth of a lens in September of 1981 and kept making them until 2006. Like its namesake, this 85mm humongous f1.4 aperture features 7 elements in 5 groups with 9 straight aperture blades. If you're looking to melt away your backgrounds into delicious buttery goodness, then this is the lens you're looking for. And just like Nikkor's other AIS lenses, this one features the mechanical aperture ring and an exceptionally snazzy depth of field scale. And of course, that wide manual focus ring is there for you to really grip it and rip it. One thing you'll immediately notice is how ginormous this lens is. That all glass and steel construction weighs in at a hefty 618 grams, which is equivalent to just under 4 cans of delicious Friskies cat food for my cats. This video isn't sponsored by Friskies, but my cats wouldn't mind if they started sponsoring me. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. So with my previous reviews, like on the Nikkor 50mm f1.2 or the 35mm f1.4, I talked about how big those lenses are. Well, when it comes to this lens, you be the judge. When I stopped in at Robert's Camera and I saw this lens, it was pretty much love at first sight. My eyes stared longingly into its gigantic 72mm diameter multi-coated front element, its solid weight comprised of steel and glass, and of all things, its depth of field scale. You know, surprisingly, I've never shot with an 85mm prime lens before. It's almost like this lens was there waiting for me. I love tack sharp images, and I love shooting wide open, and this lens does not disappoint. Nikkor's 85mm f1.4 AIS hits its sweet spot at 2.8, but f2 isn't very far off either. Images are sharp, sharp, and sharp. For all you vignette haters out there, yeah, there's some vignetting at f1.4, minimal at f2, but gone at f2.8. I happen to like vignetting, and if you don't like it, you can shove it. And since we're on the subject of shooting wide open, it's time we take what I like to call the bokeh ball test. Looks good at f1.4, okay at f2, f2.8, yeah, we're getting into Nonagon territory after that. You know, a lot of my reviews involve me talking about how a lens can be either too wide or too tight, but this lens really hasn't given me any of that kind of anxiety. In fact, I really kind of like it because it gives me more reach than my 50mm f1.2. And did I mention that these backgrounds get really dreamy with this lens? So you're probably sitting there and you're wondering, hey man, I thought this was a portrait lens. Where are the portraits? Well, here's a few portraits to look at. Back at Robert's camera, even though it was love at first sight, I didn't buy this lens right away. You see, the focus ring is pretty stiff. But that didn't stop me from thinking about this lens and asking everyone about it. Well, what do you think? Could it be damaged? Did the grease kind of recede to one side? So I called up Robert's camera and had their tech take a look at it again. And they seemed to think that the grease had kind of receded to one side and you just needed to work it a little bit more to bring it back to life. I'd say over time of working this focus ring, it's gotten better, but it's still not 100%, especially for fine focusing. But that's not to say that every Nikkor 85mm lens like this is going to have that problem. It's just this particular lens that I bought. Beyond the issue with my focus ring, I really don't see a lot to dislike about this lens. But I guess if I had to choose two things, maybe it'd be the focus distance at 2.8 feet, but I mean, it's an 85mm lens, so let's get real about it. And lastly, I talked a lot about how much I really like the weight of this lens, but I could see a lot of people saying, oh, I don't know, it's pretty heavy. It's gonna get my neck really sore after a long shoot. So I guess those are two dislikes that people might have. So, should you get one? Well, I'm certainly glad that I got one because this is one of Nikon's most iconic lenses. And to be honest, I think I might like this lens just a little bit more than my 50mm f1.2. And I thought I would never hear myself say that. With that said, there are newer variants out there like the 85 f1.4G, the 85 1.8G, and Nikon's S-line version. They're sharper, they have autofocus, but they're not this well built. They don't look this good. However, like I mentioned before, Nikon stopped making this lens in 2006, so if you're in the market, it's going to be used. I got mine for $476 at Robert's Camera/UsePhotoPro. So that's it for now, but feel free to like and/or subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at Tyler. And with that, we'll see you next time.